The universe has a way of balancing the scales. Every thorn they've thrown in your path, fate twisted it back into their own skin. Every trap they set, they walked right into it. The ones who swore you'd never rise now whisper your name like it's a prophecy they never saw coming. They wanted to see you fail, but now their worst nightmare has come true. You didn't just survive, you thrived beyond their wildest fears. The truth is, nothing haunts them more than watching you succeed, despite their every attempt to break you. They thought they were playing the game, but they never realized the game was playing them. The more they fought against you, the more they fueled your rise. It's poetic, isn't it? They dug the pit, but the universe made sure they were the ones who fell. You see, being chosen isn't just about success. It's about being untouchable. No matter how hard they try, they can't stop the inevitable. You were built for more, and every battle they started only made you stronger. You're not here by accident. There's a reason you found this message. It's because you're already living rent-free in their minds, and deep down, you feel it. The more you rise, the more they watch. The more they doubt, the more they obsess. They can't figure out how you did it, and it's eating them alive. But this isn't just about them. It's about you stepping into the power they fear the most. So before we go deeper, do this. Hit that like button, subscribe so we can keep building this unstoppable movement, and drop "I am untouchable" in the comments. This isn't just a video. This is the confirmation your soul has been waiting for. If you stay until the end, you'll understand exactly why they can't take their eyes off you. Let's get into it. Number 1. Stop following fake rules. Rewrite the game instead. They spent their whole lives following a script they never questioned. A set of rules someone else wrote, promising success if they just stayed in line, played it safe, and never stepped out of bounds. They followed it blindly, thinking it would lead them somewhere great, until you came along and shattered that illusion. You didn't just ignore their so-called rules, you burned them to the ground and built something they never saw coming. And now, they can't stop obsessing over how you pulled it off. They were programmed to believe that success comes from obedience, approval from the right people, waiting for permission, earning validation from those who never wanted them to win in the first place. But you refused to play their game. You didn't wait for their green light. You didn't ask for a seat at their table. You built your own empire on your own terms, and now they're stuck watching, confused, bitter, and unable to comprehend how you bypassed a system they spent their entire lives trying to fit into. That's what eats at them. It's not just envy, it's humiliation, because your very existence proves that the chains they worshipped were never real to begin with. They convinced themselves that playing by the rules was the only way, but you walked through the fire, broke every limitation, and proved that the greatest power is in those who refuse to be controlled. And deep down, that's what they can't forgive you for. Not just your success, but the fact that you exposed their fear. Now, they analyze your every move, desperately searching for a loophole, an excuse to explain away what you've built. They lurk in the shadows, whispering, speculating, hoping to find a crack in your armor. They need to believe you got lucky, that you cheated the system, that there's some secret trick they missed. Because the alternative, the truth, is unbearable. That while they were waiting for permission, you were out there taking what they only dreamed of. And here's the real irony. They resent you, but they also want to be you. Every rule you shattered was a rule they secretly hated. Every risk you took was one they wished they had the courage to face. Every victory you claimed was a mirror reflecting their own hesitation, their own self-imposed limits, their own wasted time. And that's why they'll never stop watching, because your success isn't just a triumph. It's a silent reminder of their greatest failure, the fact that they never dared to break free themselves. And now, no matter how hard they try, they can't escape it. You've proven that their rulebook was nothing but an illusion. And the worst part? They know you're just getting started. Number 2. Quit making excuses. Master what others call impossible. They swore it couldn't be done. They told themselves it was impossible, too difficult, out of reach. But then you showed up, and you did it like it was nothing, while they drowned in excuses. Too hard, too risky, not enough time. You made the impossible look effortless. And now, they can't stop obsessing over how you did it. Here's what really burns them. It wasn't effortless, but you made it seem that way. They never saw the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the battles you fought in silence. They only see the end result, the success, the power, the transformation, and it eats them alive. Because they were conditioned to believe that success must be a slow, painful climb, dependent on validation, approval, and struggle. But you skipped the waiting line, bypassed the suffering they glorified, and arrived at the top before they even took their first real step. Your very existence forces them to confront a truth they've been running from. It was never impossible. They were just too afraid to try. That's what keeps them up at night. If you could break through every barrier they swore was unbreakable, then what does that say about their own limits? It means their failure wasn't fate, it was a choice, and nothing is more painful than realizing they were never truly held back, except by their own fear. But what really gets to them? Your confidence. You didn't beg for recognition. You didn't broadcast your every move for applause. You just did it. You let your success do the talking, while they spent their lives over-explaining, over-compensating, and under-delivering. And now they can't stop watching, not because they want to celebrate you, but because you're a living reminder of what they could have been. They study you, analyze your steps, desperately trying to find a flaw, a weakness, anything to prove that you got lucky, that you had an unfair advantage. But the truth? There is no secret, no shortcut, no magic trick. You simply refused to be ordinary. You moved while they hesitated. You executed while they procrastinated. You took the risks they ran from, and now your existence alone has shattered their carefully built illusions. They'll never admit it, but deep down, they know. You weren't just chosen, you chose yourself. And now they're left haunted by the realization that they could have done more. But instead of rising, they'll stay right where they are, watching you. Number 3. Never let their predictions define you. Prove them wrong. They thought they had you all figured out. You were the underdog, the one who'd never measure up, the one they dismissed without a second thought. They laughed at the idea of you succeeding, convinced you were just another name that would fade away. But here you are, surpassing every expectation they set for you, and it's driving them mad. Your growth didn't just defy their predictions, it obliterated them. You didn't just rise, you crushed the very idea that they ever had the power to define your future. And now, they're stuck obsessing over how you managed to break free from the boxes they so carefully placed you in. They thought their opinions about you held weight, that their doubts would become the chains that kept you down. But guess what? Your rise wasn't just about success. It was about exposing the limitations they tried to impose on you. And that's what stings them the most. Every milestone you hit feels like a personal defeat to them. Your achievements are a glaring reminder of just how wrong they were about you. They thought they knew your limits, But those limits only ever existed in their narrow minds. What they failed to realize is that your potential was never confined to their expectations. It was boundless, and now it's staring them in the face. They thought their judgment had power over your life, but your success wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about rendering their judgment meaningless. Now, every time you achieve something they never thought possible, it's a constant reminder of their own lack of vision, their own insecurities. And the worst part? They can't even admit it to themselves. They hate to confront the truth. They underestimated you, not because you were weak, but because they never truly understood your strength. Now, their obsession with you isn't about admiration. It's not even about your accomplishments. It's a desperate attempt to figure out what they missed, to find that one flaw, that one crack in the armor. They replay your journey, trying to pinpoint the exact moment they went wrong, hoping that somehow understanding it will make them feel better about their own limitations. But it won't. It never will. Here's the thing. They judged you out of fear. Fear that someone they dismissed could rise higher than they ever dared to. And now, your very existence is a mirror, showing them everything they wish they had the courage to be. Every victory you achieve feels like a loss for them, and that's the part they'll never admit. But they can't stop thinking about it. They can't stop obsessing over the fact that your rise is a reflection of their deepest failure. They thought they had you figured out, but in the end, it was their predictions that were truly wrong. Number 4. Stop seeking approval. Dominate without their permission. They thought they held the keys to your success, believed they controlled the doors you needed to walk through. For years, they told you to play by their rules, to seek their approval, and to wait for permission to rise. They convinced themselves that without their stamp of validation, you'd never make it. But you saw through the illusion. You didn't wait for their blessing. You tore down their gates and built your own kingdom on your terms, without asking for a single thing from them. And that's what haunts them. You thrived without their approval, without their so-called permission, and in doing so, you exposed the truth they tried so hard to bury. Their system was never built on real power, just ego and control. Their rules weren't the law of the land. They were shackles designed to keep the masses in check. But you refused to conform, and now their entire narrative is falling apart. They can't stand it. They don't just envy you. They can't comprehend how you did it. You didn't beg for their validation. You didn't plead for a seat at their table. Instead, you built your own empire from the ground up, fueled by your own self-belief. And that's where they lost control. Their entire existence is based on the idea that success comes with their approval. But you proved them wrong. You didn't need them. You were already chosen for greatness, and now they can't stop watching. They analyze your every move, searching for an explanation, hoping to find a crack in your success that fits their narrative. But there is none. Because your success wasn't handed to you, it was earned through courage, through authenticity, and through your unwavering refusal to conform. You represent everything they feared. Proof that real power isn't given by authority figures or institutions. It's born from within, from the courage to break free, to step outside the boundaries they set. Your rise is a direct challenge to their control, and deep down, they know it. They can't ignore you because you've become the living, breathing proof that their reign of validation and control was nothing more than an illusion. And that truth, it burns them. They'll never admit it, but they'll never stop obsessing over you because you've shown them what real freedom looks like. The freedom to create, to build, and to thrive without ever needing anyone's approval. And that's the part they can't stand the most. Your very existence dismantles the walls they've spent years building around themselves. You don't need them, and that's the harshest truth they've ever faced. Number 5. Ditch the fake identity. Embrace your unapologetic power. They built their entire identity on a house of cards. Year after year, they molded themselves around societal expectations, borrowed beliefs, and the validation they sought from others. They wrapped themselves in masks, pretending to fit in, pretending to follow the rules, while their true selves lay buried beneath layers of insecurity. They were convinced that the only way to survive was to play it safe, to blend in with the crowd, to be like everyone else. But then, you showed up. You were everything they weren't: confident, self-reliant, unapologetically authentic, and just by existing, you did what they feared most. You forced them to confront the uncomfortable truth that everything they thought was solid, everything they built their identity on, was fragile. You've become a mirror to their lies, exposing the cracks in their carefully constructed reality. They see your presence, and suddenly, they can't ignore the void they've spent years running from. It's not just admiration or envy, it's fear. The fear that what they've been chasing is meaningless. Your confidence reminds them of the risks they never took, the courage to stand alone when everyone else conformed. Your independence exposes their dependence on the approval of others. And your authenticity. It's a spotlight on the masks they wear to fit in. The worst part, they know it. They see you walking in your truth, and it makes their own path feel like a prison. They've spent so long suppressing their true selves. And now, watching you live unapologetically forces them to face what they've buried. This is why they obsess over you. It's not just about trying to figure you out. It's about trying to figure out how you did what they've never been able to do. Why does your success come so naturally? How are you so fearless when they've spent their lives seeking validation from the wrong sources? They analyze your every move, dissect your choices, and search for a weakness, a crack in your armor, because the truth terrifies them. Your existence shatters the illusion they've been living. What you represent is a contradiction to everything they've been taught to believe. They've convinced themselves they needed approval to survive, yet here you are, unapologetically yourself, and thriving. Your very being exposes the life they've been living as a lie. They've spent so much time trying to fit in, trying to live by the rules, that they can't even recognize their own desires anymore. They're grappling with the uncomfortable reality that the life they've built isn't the life they truly want. So, they watch, they obsess, they can't look away, because deep down, they're searching for something you've already found: truth, authenticity, and the courage to live life on their own terms. But by the time they figure it out, you'll be miles ahead. You've already unlocked the freedom they can only dream of, and that's why they can't stop watching you. They can't help but wish they had the strength to be you. Number 6. Become uncontrollable. Stay mysterious. Stay unreachable. You don't fit their mold. You never have, and it drives them crazy. They thrive on predictability. They want everything in a neat, controlled box, where people play by the same rules, follow the same path, and don't disrupt their fragile little systems. But then there's you, the one who can't be predicted, the one who refuses to be understood. You move in ways they can't anticipate, and that uncertainty, it's eating them alive. They thought they had you figured out, but every time they try to categorize you, you slip right through their fingers, leaving them grasping at air. You're an enigma, a puzzle they can't solve. And no matter how hard they try, they can't get a grip on you. The worst part, you're unreachable. It's not just about keeping physical distance, it's the emotional and intellectual gap you've put between yourself and their narrow expectations. You don't need their validation, you don't play their games, you don't share your next move with anyone, and you certainly don't explain yourself to anyone who isn't worthy of your energy. The moment you stopped caring about their approval, they lost all control. They can't manipulate you. They can't influence you. And that's what drives them mad. They can't stand someone who doesn't need them, someone who doesn't crave their recognition. You, the chosen one, have rejected their power, and now they're obsessed with figuring out why. Why doesn't your success depend on their permission? Why does their approval mean nothing to you? They'll keep watching, analyzing every move, trying to crack the code, trying to expose some flaw, some crack in your armor. But the harder they try, the more elusive you become. You don't need to explain, you don't need to give them anything. Your unpredictability isn't chaos, it's freedom. Freedom to be who you are, to move how you want, to rise on your own terms, without being bound by their limitations or expectations. That's the thing they can't understand. They built their world on control. They've spent their lives trying to manage people, to predict outcomes, to feel safe in the illusion of control. But with you, they can't control anything. They hate that. They hate that they can't predict you, can't pull your strings, can't figure out how you keep winning without them. And that, right there, is why they can't stop obsessing over you. Because you've proven that you don't need them to rise. You don't need their rules, their system, or their approval. You've already transcended their limited view of success. And it's haunting them. The more they try, the more they realize. They'll never own you. You were never meant to be controlled. And they know it. Number 7. Turn pain into power. Resilience makes you unstoppable. They've watched you face storms that should have shattered anyone else. They saw you stumble, they saw you fall, but they didn't realize that every setback was just another chapter in your unstoppable rise. They celebrated too soon, thinking that the weight of the world was finally going to crush you. They thought the odds had caught up with you, that failure was your destiny, but they were wrong. Every time they thought you were down for good, you came back stronger, more focused, and more unshakable than before. And now? Now they're obsessed. Not because they admire your strength, but because they're completely baffled by it. They can't figure you out. You've broken every expectation they had, defied every narrative they were taught to believe. They were conditioned to think that the system rewards those who fall in line, who stay obedient, who play by the rules. And they were taught that those who challenge the system, those who refuse to bow down, will always lose. But here you are, standing tall in the face of every obstacle, thriving despite the very roadblocks that were meant to stop you. Your existence is the living proof that the system isn't as powerful as they thought. Your success forces them to face the truth they've spent their lives avoiding. That strength doesn't come from avoiding hardship. It comes from embracing it head on. They can't comprehend how someone like you, someone they once dismissed, underestimated, and even tried to suppress, keeps breaking through barriers they believed were unbreakable. To them, resilience is a foreign concept. They've spent their entire lives avoiding risk, shying away from failure, and playing it safe. But you've learned to thrive in the chaos. Where they saw danger, you saw opportunity. Where they saw failure, you saw growth. And that's what terrifies them. It's not just that you succeeded, it's how you did it. They can't grasp how you turned every challenge into fuel for your success. They want to know your secret, but they'll never figure it out. And here's the thing they'll never admit. They can't stop you. They thought they could break you, tear you down, and watch you fall apart. But what they don't understand is that your resilience isn't just a survival tactic. It's your weapon. You've weaponized the very thing they feared. No matter what they throw your way, you absorb it, adapt, and come out even stronger. And that's what makes you unstoppable. The truth they refuse to face is that the system, their rules, their expectations, they all mean nothing when you're built to withstand everything life throws at you. You can't be stopped, and that thought haunts them every single day. Number 8. Escape mediocrity. Face the truth others run from. You didn't just rise, you became the mirror they were too afraid to look into. Every single step you took, every victory you claimed, reflected back to them the harsh reality of what they never had the courage to pursue. The life you live, the risks you took, and the dreams you chased. They watched as you boldly moved forward while they stood frozen in fear. And now, they can't escape the image of themselves that stares back from your every achievement. Their mediocrity, their hesitation, their missed chances, they all haunt them in the reflection of your success. But here's the thing, it's not admiration that fuels their obsession with you. It's something much darker, a toxic blend of regret, jealousy, and self-loathing. Every time you achieve, they see not just what you've accomplished, but what they could have had if they weren't so afraid to take the leap. They see your courage, your relentless pursuit of growth, and they can't stand the fact that they never had the guts to go after their own dreams. Instead, they played it safe. They allowed comfort to hold them back, and in doing so, they chose mediocrity. You have become the living proof of their greatest failure, the failure to take risks, to step out of the shadows of fear and into the light of possibility. And because they can't own up to their own choices, they project their dissatisfaction onto you. They try to tear you down, to diminish your success, because it's easier for them to hate you than to confront the truth of their own inadequacies. But here's the brutal truth. No matter how hard they try, your success will never be a reflection of their failures. It can't be. You didn't take the easy road, they did. You didn't follow the path of least resistance. And now they're left watching you from the sidelines, angry at the courage they never had. You are everything they wish they could be, but never dared to become. Your victories shine a light on the courage they lack, on the comfort they cling to, and the mediocrity they've chosen to accept. They'll obsess over every move you make, hoping to find something to bring you down, trying to distract themselves from the truth that keeps them awake at night. They are stuck in their own mediocrity because they chose to play it safe while you chose greatness. And that's the part they'll never admit, that they can never be you. Number 9. Stop copying. Create value where others see nothing. While they were running around like lost sheep, chasing the latest trends, desperately mimicking whatever seemed to be popular in the moment, you were quietly building something that could never be replicated. They wasted their time fitting into a system, copying what already existed. But you weren't playing by anyone else's rules. You created something from nothing, something that had never been seen before, something the world didn't even know it needed. And that's what drives them mad. They can't stand that you weren't just following the crowd, you were leading it. While they fought to keep up with the trends, you were out there shaping the future. They relied on recycled ideas, just rehashing what worked for others, never daring to step outside the lines. But you didn't just play the game, You rewrote the rules entirely. And now their obsession with you isn't about admiration, it's about desperation. They can't understand how you pulled it off. You made the impossible seem effortless. They want to know your secret. You created value where there was none, and that's what cuts them the deepest. Your creativity shines a glaring spotlight on their lack of originality. You didn't follow the blueprint. They stuck to the script, and now they're lost in it. They're stuck in a cycle of imitation while you're out there pushing boundaries, creating your own path, and making waves in ways they could only dream of. Every time they look at you, they see their own failure to innovate. What's worse? They can't figure out how you did it. They can't understand how you saw what they couldn't, how you found treasure where they saw only a wasteland. Every step you took forward left them further behind. Your creativity isn't just impressive. It's a living, breathing reminder of how small they've allowed themselves to become by following the herd. You've become a symbol of everything they could have been, if only they had the courage to break free from the mold. Now they're obsessed because you've shown them what true value creation looks like. But no matter how much they try, they can't replicate it. They can copy, imitate and pretend, but they'll never create anything that holds the same weight. They'll always be a step behind because their fear of stepping out of the shadows will forever keep them from truly building something great. And that's what haunts them. Your success is the proof they'll never escape their own mediocrity. Number 10. Never let pain break you. Use it to build an empire. They waited for you to break. They watched, hoping that life's blows would shatter you, that pain would swallow you whole, that you'd buckle under the weight of your struggles and beg for mercy. But you did the unimaginable. You didn't just survive, you transformed. Every heartache, every failure, every moment they thought would destroy you became the very fuel for your rise. While they wallowed in their own limitations, you were alchemizing your pain into something far more powerful. You turned your wounds into weapons and your scars into proof that you were made for more. They can't understand it. They can't comprehend how you did it. They were taught that pain is a prison, a sentence that forces you into submission. Yet here you are, standing tall, stronger with every setback, unbreakable in the face of adversity. Your very existence makes them question everything they've ever believed. How is it that when the world tried to bury you, you only grew taller? How is it that when life threw its worst at you, you turned it into your greatest weapon? This is why they're obsessed. It's not just about your victories. It's about how you've become something they can never be. You didn't let pain define you. You used it. You didn't fall into self-pity or use your hardships as an excuse to stop. You didn't whine, you didn't back down, and you certainly didn't quit. You faced your demons head-on, turning every challenge into a lesson, every obstacle into a stepping stone. You are a living testament that resilience isn't about avoiding pain, it's about mastering it, using it to fuel your ascent. And now they can't look away. They've spent their entire lives allowing pain to dictate their worth, trapping themselves in cycles of self-doubt and victimhood. Every setback they faced, they let it hold them back. But you broke free from that cage. You found power in what was meant to destroy you. You've shown them the truth they can't face. That pain is not the enemy. It's the forge in which true strength is made. Now, every time they look at you, it eats them alive. They see someone who turned their darkest moments into triumph, their suffering into purpose. They see a person who found power in places they thought were only full of destruction. They envy you not just for what you've achieved, but for what you've become. And that's what haunts them the most. They couldn't do it. They couldn't rise. But you You became unstoppable. And they can't stop watching because they'll never figure out how you did it. But deep down, they know. You've done what they could never. You've turned your pain into purpose, and that is something they'll never be able to crack. Number 11. Understand this. Your success will always feel personal to haters. Your success doesn't just sting them, it cuts deep. It's not just about you rising above. It's about the fact that you did it, despite their every attempt to break you. You didn't need their approval, their permission, or their validation to achieve greatness. They thought they had control over your path, that they could discredit you, sabotage your every move, and hold you back. But here you are, standing tall, thriving, and succeeding in ways they could never have anticipated. And that drives them absolutely mad. This isn't just a victory for you. It's the undeniable evidence of their failure. Every obstacle they tried to throw in your way only propelled you further. Every attack on your character only made you stronger. They thought they could bury you, but instead they dug their own grave. Deep down, they know it. They can't stop watching because your growth is a painful reminder of everything they failed at. Your success is a mirror reflecting their stagnation, and that mirror is something they just can't look away from. What really eats at them is that you did it without needing them. You didn't ask for permission, and you didn't wait for their validation. You forged your own path, and with every milestone, you exposed the truth they refused to face. They never had the power to control you. Their entire world is built on the illusion that they could dictate who rises and who falls. But you, chosen one, you proved that their system was just a house of cards waiting to collapse. They obsess over you, not because they admire your success, but because it's a constant reminder of their failure. Every victory you claim is like a silent scream of defeat for them. They can't admit it, but it's eating them alive. The realization that they tried to break you, and yet here you are, stronger than ever. Every time you rise, it's another reminder that in the end, they lost the fight they thought they could win. You're not just winning, you're exposing their weakness. They thought they could slow you down, but instead, they gave you the fuel to accelerate. Your rise is not just success, it's a harsh lesson to them. They failed, and the universe has made it clear. You were always meant for greatness, and nothing they do will ever stop that. Number 12. Master the power of silence. Make noise without saying a word. Your silence is your superpower, and it's driving them insane. In a world where everyone craves validation, constantly broadcasting their every move, thought and feeling, your refusal to explain yourself has become a mystery they can't crack. They live for noise, arguments, gossip, and justifications. But you've denied them the chaos they crave, and in doing so, you've made silence your strongest weapon. They expect you to engage, to argue, to defend yourself when they criticize you. They want a reaction. They want to watch you squirm, to see you fight for your place. But when you give them nothing, when you remain silent, when you refuse to give them the energy they crave, it flips the script. Your silence forces them to face their own insecurities, their own doubts, their own chaos. Every move you make, every quiet action you take, becomes the focal point of their obsession. They can't stand it. They obsess over the meaning of your silence, overanalyzing every step you take, hoping to find a crack in your armor. But there is no crack. There's nothing for them to latch onto. That's what keeps them hooked. The less you give, the more they want. They're trapped in a paradox, and they can't escape it. What they don't realize is that your silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. You've taken away their power by refusing to engage. You've taken control of the narrative without saying a word. While they spin in circles, caught up in their own noise, you quietly build your empire, succeed, and grow. And here's the kicker. The more noise they make, the more obvious their obsession becomes. They're so focused on trying to figure you out that they don't realize you've already won. The truth is, the loudest voice in the room is never the strongest. It's the one that doesn't need to shout. Your success is their greatest enigma, a riddle they can't solve, and they're haunted by it. Every boundary you push, every victory you claim, serves as a reminder of everything they failed to achieve and everything they will never have the courage to pursue. Your existence forces them to confront the limits they've placed on themselves. Your rise is their deepest regret. But here's the thing. They'll never admit it. They'll never admit that their obsession with you isn't admiration. It's fear. Fear that your life is the one they wish they had the courage to live. And as long as you keep rising, as long as you keep thriving, their fixation on you will only grow stronger. As we wrap this up, remember this. Their obsession with you isn't a reflection of your weakness. It's a glaring testament to your strength. You've become an unstoppable force, proving that no matter how hard they try, they can't break what you've built. Keep thriving, keep rising, and let them keep watching from the sidelines. The world is yours to conquer. If this message resonated with you, don't let it end here. Hit that like button, subscribe to keep the momentum going, and join the movement of the chosen ones. Let's keep building together. You're just getting started.